Welcome back to Kinh Doanh 101. I'm your host, Thuy Than. When brothers Mingo, Ed, and Wing got started on their fish tacos restaurant called Wahoo's, they didn't think it would turn into a 30-year journey with over 60 locations across the U.S. Join us as we talk to these humble businessmen on how they were able to carve a niche for themselves and what it means to franchise. Brothers Mingo, Ed, and Wing aren't your typical franchise owners. As the children of Chinese immigrants that worked in their parents' restaurant as they grew up, they know what it means to work hard. But they also knew how to play hard. Their idea of Wahoo's came from the early days of surfing, and they realized there was nothing like it in Southern California.
Well, it's kind of funny. The long version of it is, I went to San Diego State. I used to go down to Mexico surfing all the time. My brother used to go down there with his buddies, and it just became a natural that after surfing, whether it was with us or just friends, we would have fish tacos on the dock. And everybody talked about having a place to hang out in Orange County because Mexico is kind of far away, but nobody had the background to do it. Well, luckily for me and my brothers, we had the expertise, the background of having my parents' restaurants. So we thought, hey, let's see if we can give it a try. And we opened the very first store in '88 in Costa Mesa near all the surf companies. And the joke is, if you build it, they'll come, and they did.
We opened on a shoestring budget. We took over an existing restaurant. We had friends, family, everybody come in and paint, clean, and do everything to get open. So even though there was a risk, at least we were getting into an industry that we felt we had, if you could say, a level of expertise in back when we were 30 years younger. So I think just because we were comfortable with our background experience and where we grew up.
We also have another brother that was very entrepreneurial. So we come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad leaving China to Brazil to United States. So our family is used to taking risk. I mean, my parents more than us, but my dad has made lots of money and lost lots of money. So we were used to having that in our lives. So it's not something that was new. So we were prepared for a loss. I mean, and Wahoo's was not our first try as a business, as partners. So we've done other things and we failed, and then we knew let's give it one last shot. If not, I think we ought to become lawyers. Oh my God.
The menu at Wahoo's is basically a blend of what we liked and what we didn't like. So we love fish, but we don't like it deep fried. So we always loved another local restaurant, the Crab Cooker, that actually did amazing grilled fishes. And I always thought, why can't we put that inside of a taco? So basically we took the idea of a fish taco that was deep fried, used a much healthier version, which is grilled over the charcoal, and that's the original restaurant. We wanted to have something that was really healthy, but still had all the feeling of Baja. So it's really clean, really simple, but just a little healthier.
Today, Wahoo's is known the world over for its California cool, casual fast food style of dining and its fish tacos.
I think it's a combination. I mean, timing was good for us because back, now everywhere you go, there's this category called fast casual or quick service. But back in the 80s, it was either fast food or sit down. And so we sort of helped develop a niche in the dining options for customers. But also think, somebody told me something early on is that the harder you work, the luckier you will be. So I think if you just, it doesn't always work out that way, but we just kept our heads down and grinding it out. And there was some definite lows along the way, as there are for all entrepreneurs. But I think it was good timing and a lot of hard work to go with it.
Although it is a family-owned business, Ed says they each have a role and help each other in their business.
My department is probably one of the toughest. So if I had to do it all over again and see the mistakes we've made, it's like I wasn't an expert in real estate, so I had to learn a lot on my own. My older brother was an attorney, but he was not a real estate attorney. So if I had to do it all over again, that component I would have had a much stronger broker or a stronger advisor when it came to real estate. And then of course, when it came to construction, we should have, oh my God, hired a contractor the first day we opened the restaurant. But instead, we're like, I think we can do this, or we can do the tiling ourselves because we're trying to save money, beating costs. So, and then the other part I always tell people is make sure you have a budget when you open your own restaurant, a budget that has actually your own personal salary sort of tied in there. Most entrepreneurs think, I got to pay rent, I got to pay equipment, I got to pay employees, but they forget that their own personal expenses got to be part of that budget. And I don't think we had that, and we're, and again, we're very blessed that we're able to when I lost the apartment, go back to my mom's house in Newport. So I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I just got to go back to my mom's house. So there's so many things that if I could have done differently, yeah, but you know, you learn throughout those years of doing that. And again, for me, I looked out that Mingo was always back there, goes, hey, you know, and so if we made a mistake, we wouldn't get super upset. We'd go, now we got to fix it. And you know, having Wing and Mingo helping me out through those, navigating through those mistakes, oh my gosh, it was, you know, that's priceless. That's when you know your brothers have your back, because there's a couple of times where there could have been a lawsuit and we could have lost it all. Most of my mistakes, but because I didn't know real estate well enough, those are tough years.
Yeah, but I think, you know, sort of tailing off of that is, you know, cash flow or working capital is probably the most important thing. Even as we deal with franchisees, they come in and we try to make sure they're well capitalized at the first 12 to 18 months of the business, because this is a high mortality business. Restaurant, I think the stat is 9 out of 10 fail within the first 12 months. And we can't emphasize enough how you need to have that cash sitting in the bank, because as soon as your drawers start thinning out a little bit, you start making really bad decisions. You start cutting back on marketing, you start cutting back in staffing, and it's just a self-propelling ball downhill. So you gotta be well capitalized, no matter what you know, venture you're jumping into, because if you can't get through your first winter, well, you're not going to make it through your first winter.
Although the brothers are not Vietnamese, their story mirrors the immigrant story that many others go through.
Immigrant families, everybody goes to work. I mean, as soon as you got out of school, we're bus boys, we wait tables, we did the dishes, we prepped. So we didn't think that was not normal until you're much older, because then you start thinking, when your friends are like, wow, you know, so to us, back then you hated it. But then as you got older, that was your work ethic. You knew that you're going to go to school and work after school. We really went and did other things, goofing off. But my parents were also kind enough to give us a break. I mean, my mom and dad are a little bit not as traditional Chinese, but they allow us to serve. So as long as we kept good grades, went to work, we were allowed to serve. So that was the only difference, but we were a typical immigrant family.
Yeah, and it was, I think, you know, it's also typical. They made us all, not made us, but requested that we all get our college degrees and get advanced degrees if for those who chose to do it. And part of the plan was never to go back in the restaurant business. They almost basically forbid us to do it. But, you know, reluctantly, they saw that we had a passion for the business. And so the 3 younger of 5 boys got into the restaurant business, where we were supposed to leave and never turn around.
Our goal was just to open one store and kind of run it well and see if we can all take sort of time off. I mean, our parents worked really hard, like 60 to 80 hours a week, and we were thinking 35, 40 each brother, and then, you know, taking that route. Mingo and I put the menu together in the back of a napkin prior to turning it into to get our beer and wine license. So yeah, you know, but that's, I think, the mentality of the immigrants back then, because we weren't really thinking legal issues, we weren't thinking things. I think when the first wave of immigrants come, they're not prepared. They're just like, let's get all, yeah, let's just work hard, put our money together, and do a business. Now with the new generation, I think, of Asians, yeah, get a business plan, because I think this generation are way more educated than we were ever going to be. So they should get a business plan and get advice. I mean, go out, talk. If you want to open a restaurant, work in a restaurant for a while. Make sure this is what you really, really want to do. And then start doing the research of how to put it together. And get mentors to help you, you know, navigate through leases, business license, getting your beer and wine license. These are all hard steps to take. And if you don't do it, it's just going to make it double the effort to get it all done. You know, so.
Wahoo's menu has changed over the years, but not much. The core of their philosophy remains the same.
I mean, it's evolved very. I mean, if you grab the menu from November 1988, the menu really hasn't grown that much. And I think it's because, in my humble opinion, we started in a good spot. It's just good, healthy, tasty food that's a value. And I think that's just sort of is always an option for families and you know, working professionals. And so we've tailored it, added. I mean, of course, today everybody loves spice, right? So we've had to heat up the menu, no pun intended, quite a bit just to stay in that category. But outside of that, I think our menu is pretty core to what we started in November '88.
Important tips that helped them succeed not only had to do with their product, but their handling of the business aspect.
One of the key things about how we were able to grow unlike our parents is my mom and dad never really got more than elementary school education, where the three of us are all college grads, and we've all studied finance, business, and accounting. So we kind of were able to take a business approach to a restaurant, because we can all laugh about restaurants failing because they don't have good food, but most restaurants fail because they don't know how to run a business. And that would apply to almost any business anyway. It's whether you're a doctor, an attorney, it's still a business. So you really have to spend a little bit of time understanding finances, accounting, management to really be able to grow your business. And the key to business is not only knowing the business side, is communication. Is to make sure that everybody's on the same page at all the time. So whether you can do a fish taco is great, but can the other 30 people that work for you make the same fish taco? So the training and the communication and making sure that everybody's in the same page is creating processes, make sure people are following, but the key to it all is great communication.
They also invest heavily in the community and give back when they can. They say it always comes back in spades in a meaningful way. By
doing all the charity work that we've done, basically started with our customers asking us, hey, would you help us with MS, CF, MBA, ALS? I mean, you name it, an acronym, and I know what they do, right? The benefit has been, it helped our business. It helped us put a little, basically help the community, help save kids' lives, make kids' lives better, maybe keep the environment a little cleaner. So between education, environment, kids, I mean, we're involved with, I can't even tell you how many causes. But the side benefit, which has been hilarious, is most of the bigger nonprofits end up having great spokesmen. That's how they make more money. Use celebrity to drive more business, more money to the fundraiser. So the benefit has been sitting on these committees. We've been able to meet amazing people. I'm using my resources, my tacos. They're using their professional status to do it. Hey, whatever we can all do. And it's great for the community, it's great for the charities, and it's great for business.
Yeah, I mean, I think, after 30 years, nobody's getting any younger. The kids are, coming up. But, right now, I think we're fortunate to have a really strong staff behind us. So we rely more on them for the next phase of Wahoo's to continue on, because honestly, I don't think we have any kids that are stepping up at the moment. They're not demonstrating the immigrant mentality, let me say. So at this point, we are looking inside at the folks who've helped us grow and put them in key positions. I mean, we still have a lot of life left in our tires, but it's probably going to be a combination of key management players that we have in place today.
Coming up after the break, more on the story of Wahoo's and how they've managed to grow their brand in the past 3 decades. Welcome back to Kinh Doanh 101. I'm your host, Thuy Phan. The Wahoo story of success is a reminder of creating a niche for yourself and working in the restaurant industry. They are also an example of franchising and how well it can work if you have a great idea and follow the market trends. Join us as we talk more to the brothers and how they were able to grow their company to where it is today.
The Wahoo's is a great story. There's multiple versions of it, but at the end of the day, Mingo was in Hawaii. We've been brainstorming ideas, and we couldn't come up with anything significant. Every fish that we can think of was already being used, like mahi-mahi, dorado, like yellowfin, yellowtail, whatever. There was something already there, and it just didn't sound like sexy. We're gonna go to yellowtails, really? And Mingo had heard in Hawaii the word ono, and we thought, oh, that's a great name, it's a great fish, but we thought maybe the mainlanders would call it oh no, as opposed to onos. So it's like, okay, we're not gonna go oh no. So the other way to say Wahoo, ono in Hawaii is Wahoo. So he said, let's go to Wahoo's. I'm like, oh, rolls right off your tongue, sounds cool. So that's how we came up with it. It also happens to represent the best sport fishing fish you can catch.
I've probably been coming to Wahoo's for 20, 30 years. When you opened, when I was teaching over there in Costa Mesa, we used to take a day once a week and go to the Wahoo's off 19th Street. And they started calling me Wahoo Sue because I liked it so much. And everyone said we would like fish tacos, which just sounded horrible to me, and they are wonderful. But anyway, we followed it. Now my whole family comes frequently, and my son works over in Fashion Island, and he comes. And
we love coming to Wahoo's. We used to go to the one in Huntington Beach all the time. We love that it's here. We actually moved and we live in Maui, Hawaii now. So when we come back to mainland, to California, we love coming for the really fresh fish, the really good food, and it's that perfect mix between like the seafood blend, the healthy food, and a little bit of the Mexican flavor, which we love.
In 2018, Wahoo's marked 30 years with an exclusive dinner held at the James Beard House, a milestone that meant a lot to their family. Working together as a family can be tough, but they say they know they have each other's backs.
Working in a family business is super interesting because it's hard. It's a struggle at times because everybody has their own personality. And you can say things to your family member that you wouldn't say to a regular partner. You can do a lot. It gets a little tough, but the one thing is we're family first. We unfortunately had to learn it the hard way, but when we get together and we're surfing or we're eating dinners together, I mean, we do a lot of dinners together as a family. And you gotta have to remind yourself that as much as it pains us to argue at work, that's work. That's our work life. It has nothing to do with what we do at home. So we have a large family, which makes it easier to have all the girls and all the cousins get together. And when we eat, have wine, break bread, I think we are reminded at that point, why do we work so hard? Why do we continue going to work? Well, because we have a family. We have families, and that's what we want to do, is to continue doing that. But it's hard to go to work with your brothers on a weekly basis. Now, people that come to me for advice about, hey, should I open this with my brother or sister? You better like each other a lot, because it's going to get some rough days. Working with family, I think part of it is it's tough, but I don't trust. I trust Mingo more than anybody else in my life. I mean, I know that when he's playing with our money, it's going to be there the next day. He might not divide it, but it's there. And so we trust each other to have each other's back for sure. So part of our success is that three of us know at the end of the day, we have full trust of one another, what we're doing. That doesn't mean that we trust each other making decisions about the work, but we trust each other in the sense of we're family. We know we're not going to, there's not enough money in the world to backstab each other when it comes to finance. That's just silly. So that's the plus about having a family member that you trust. I mean, Mingo and I have been partners all our lives, and we've done so many things together. Wing too. I mean, we just, so we have that, and that you have to go have Christmas dinners together. So you better not do anything silly, right? So
the decision to franchise was a gamble, but one they felt was the right decision for their family.
I think there's a lot of risks that go along with that. I mean, we've seen sort of the highs and lows of franchising, but it really boils down to, I mean, if you're a sole proprietor and you have one great restaurant, you can make a very comfortable living for your family. But, in certain circumstances, if you want to back off and have passive income like real estate, you got to decide if you're going to scale your own concepts, which takes a lot of capital, a lot more risk than if you go and franchise. And again, you have to have some systems in place. But again, now somebody else is putting all their capital at risk, and you're helping them, training them, and supporting them. But that's, I think, the crossover. You got to say, how much of your own capital do you want to continue to put at risk out there?
For them, location is key.
Well, the key thing when you go to business school, they say location, location, location. That's first and most important. But then, if you're a restaurant and you don't have good food, you're not a restaurant. So it doesn't matter. That location is key to everything else. So I don't care whether you're whatever business you go in, you got to find your target market, and that's where it all starts. Then everything builds from there. So when I talk to people, like, don't take areas that you can't afford. So the location is two parts is the location plus the rent base, and that's because rent does not go away. It continues increasing every year. So if you're not really learning where you need to be, that, I think, to me, location, location, location. So
the funny part is we're looking for people that are like-minded to our existing location. So yes, there's a certain amount of business that has to be around, for the daytime, the lunch business that we need. A certain amount of maybe entertainment, shopping. So maybe like a Trader Joe's, a movie theater, business that complement us, and also variety, meaning having hamburger places, pizza places around us, because then it creates kind of a synergy where people can't eat tacos every day. Sometimes they can, and they have options because you know what? I want to go to this particular mall because they got great Chinese food, great Japanese, great Mexican, great everything. So you're looking for basic demographic where people want to gather because it's about a social. You don't go out just to eat, you go out to be social. And that's where Wahoo's fits in. And people that are active, beach locations are great for us. But then again, some of our best stores are nowhere near the beaches, but they're near mountain biking trails. They're near ski resorts. So these are some of the things that you think about is where do people want to have fun, they're active, and they want to have a restaurant that basically fits their lifestyle.
Having made many mistakes throughout the years by trial and error, they say they'd still encourage people to go out and try their hand at being entrepreneurs.
Well, getting, that first step, the idea of owning your own business and actually doing it, I explain to people, there's two kinds of people out there. First of all, you got to decide which one you are first. Are you the person that can basically not worry to death that you're going to have a paycheck on Friday? If you can't handle that and you can't manage that, don't start your own business because you may or may not get a paycheck on Friday. But once you get past that hurdle, then it's the next is why you? What makes your idea unique that people want to come and support you? And then if you can explain that, I'm like, that's a great angle, right? And then filter through because your friends will probably be the first naysayers anyway. So then go to strangers, go to your classmates, go to other people. Hey, if I was going to do this, what do you think? And they're like, And so you're either going to get a bunch of people because nobody wants to see you succeed anyway, right? Because it's their own fear, their own insecurities. So they can project that on you. So you got to decide, you know what? I think I got a good idea. Nobody's doing it, right? And whatever that service product is. And you know what? Borrow a little bit of money knowing that, hey, you got to go all in. There's no such thing as starting your own business part-time. It doesn't really work. So you got to go all in. Make sure that you have a solid idea and have a parachute on the back end in case it doesn't work. You always got to go back to real job, right? But most of the time, like I said, 90% of them fail anyway. And it's all because you didn't think it through. You can't over-engineer it. You just got to make sure you have enough to know that, hey, this is going to work or not. And go for it because nobody knows what you don't know. We always talk about, hey, do what you love and it won't be work. Trust me, it's still a ton of work. But as long as you're enjoying it and you're able to, really have a fun ride, it's 40, 50 years that we're going to be doing this, right? I mean, we're already 30 years in. I still love doing it every day. I still don't mind washing dishes, cleaning up, whatever needs to get done. I don't mind doing it. I love doing it. So that's what you want to do. Whatever business product you do, just be behind it for the next 40 or 50 years. If you think you can't do it for that long, that's probably not a good idea.
If the one thing when you go into business for yourself, you got to be prepared. I mean, it probably goes without saying, but put in the hours and the effort because at the end of the day, you're the only one who technically is not on the payroll. I mean, your labor can make things happen, get things done a lot cheaper, and you may have to rely on that at the end of the day. So
all of these businesses do a great job of showing you how you can scale your business and grow if you have the right idea and quality food. They are reminders that you just need to focus and do one thing well, and the rest will follow. Join us next week as we take you to the headquarters of Sriracha and Huifeng Foods and how they bring over $100 million a year in sales alone. Until next time, thanks for joining us.